Namaskar, brothers and sisters, and welcome to the 6th module of our online graduates intermediate course. So this is a module 6, a very special module with a very special presenter. The title of our module is The Psychology of Coaching. And we have an expert in the field, Brother Kamalesh Lovegrove from New Zealand, where he's presenting at 12 midnight. That's a big sacrifice on his part for us. So I'll just introduce Brother Kamalesh. He was initiated in 1993 and spent a few years as an LPT and then an LFT, and then he became a family man. And Kamalesh trained as an occupational therapist, spent many years working in the mental health sector, where he's held professional and clinical leadership roles. And currently, Kamalesh works as a behavioral consultant in the disability field, as well as in a primary health care setting. So we're delighted to have him with us today. And he's prepared an interesting slideshow with some questions here and there. So let's all welcome Brother Kamalesh to this 6th module of our online graduates intermediate course. Thank you, Kamalesh. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you very much, Dada. I'm very happy to be here with you all, though a little bit nervous. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you some interesting ideas. I think they're interesting. I hope you also do. And so, without further ado, so I understand we have about an hour together to discuss some of these concepts to assist you in your work as an Ananda Marga health coach. So the Ananda Marga Yogic Naturopathy group has chosen to use a health coach model, which I think is very appropriate. And so we're going to explore some of the key ideas tonight. And I hope you'll find it very interesting. Please, if you have any questions along the way, well, we'll try our best to accommodate. You know, normally I'm used to interacting with people in a live way, so I'm glad I can see a few of you up there. Otherwise, it's kind of like sitting in my lounge at midnight talking to myself. So I think I'll start sharing my screen. Hopefully everything will work smoothly.
Participants can put their questions in the chat also in case at any time they want. No problem.
Great, brilliant. Okay, you can see that okay?
Looks good.
Perfect.
Brilliant. All right, so the psychology of coaching. I've got a number of slides with a range of material, and we're going to have to move through it at a kind of a good consistent pace. But this is being recorded, and I understand it'll be available for people to look at afterwards. So there's some written material on the screens, etc., that you might benefit from looking at later on. But basically, we're going to cover generally what is coaching in a healthcare context, then some of the key considerations in that kind of a model, and then we're going to look at psychology as kind of what underpins successful coaching. A thorough understanding of human psychology is kind of required to be able to be an effective coach. And also, it's about human beings. And so as we come to understand others, we also understand ourselves better. And this is a kind of a mutual relationship that we build up with our students, people that we work with and serve. And so it's mutually beneficial. We're going to look at some of the psychology behind behavioral change, because that's essentially what we're trying to achieve as a health coach. We're trying to assist people to undertake behavioral change, to do something differently with regards to their health and well-being and life in general. And so that is simple yet complex, and not always easy, to be honest, or fun, but it's the kind of the stuff of human life. And then we're going to look more specifically at some key coaching skills, and at the end we might have a little bit of looking at what do you do when you find yourself in unfamiliar territory, or you're feeling a little out of your depth. So here is a kind of a summary statement that comes out of the the manual, and this is kind of a summary defining statement of what health coaching is from the kind of the approach that we are taking. So a core part of this is being connected to your innate desire to want to be of help, to be of service to the person that you're working with. And 4, in a way, so holding that central at all times, and that we are attempting to help people to learn and to grow and to develop in their lives. Okay, we're not just delivering a whole lot of information. We're not necessarily telling people what to do, so much as trying to assist them to unlock and discover their own potential, and develop the solutions to their own problems. So this is our general approach. Now, I did a little bit of research to kind of find out, because health coaching is a mainstream model that exists around the world in different ways, perhaps more common in the Western world, but I'd be fairly sure that you would find health coach type approaches in many places, if not most. And so on the screen there, you can see a reference, and this is quite a good article that I think summarizes what would be considered best practice. So best practice is a kind of a term that is used in healthcare settings, which means what's the best way of doing this? Most effective, based on research. So again, it's very consistent with the statement we have in our manual. So we're trying to facilitate learning and discovery on the client's part through engaging them in a health coaching cycle. And so you can see here some really key points that have been established as hallmarks of effective health coaching. You can see client-centeredness, which means putting the person and what they value and what they want out of their own lives at the core of what we do. And that the coaching process is about helping, well, they're using the word patient, we call them students, but the person to connect with what's important, to develop plans, to clarify what they're trying to achieve in their lives, and also be a part of a process that sets up structures around somebody to help them be more successful. Excuse me. Okay, but you can review some of those points later and even look up the article itself and read more about it. It's really interesting. So any questions come up so far? I think we're going along nicely.
Carry on.
So psychology, it's all about the mind. Human beings. Where the mind goes, the body follows. So the more that we can understand about what this mind is, how it operates, how things can go wrong, how the problems develop, how the solutions get created, how do people do what they do in their lives, and why. All comes out of the human mind. Just for interest's sake, you won't be able to answer me, but just notice who amongst you can easily see the O in that word there on the screen, psychology. Many people will find that their brain will fill in the gap and they'll read the word without a hesitation, not even really noticing that there's a letter missing. This is all part of psychology. So when we talk about psychology, we're essentially talking about mental behavior, the behavior of the mind. It's kind of an unusual way of thinking about it, but thinking in a way is private behavior that nobody else can see, but it is an action, and it's a psychic action. And then there's like public behavior, which is what you can see. I'm waving my hands around, I'm moving my head. You can describe it. I often say to the people I work with, if I was a fly on the wall, what would I see? But in psychology, we're actually interested in both public and private behavior. But in the end, it's about doing stuff and what's behind that. So I'm just kind of drawing your attention, comparing and contrasting a little bit here. So Ananda Marga is very unique in that it includes psychology as a branch of philosophy. And so Ananda Margis, we kind of learn about the mind a lot through our own sadhana and through reading our philosophy. And if you want to study, you can look through Ananda Sutram, that kind of thing, which describes in detail the Ananda Marga model of the mind. But some of the key points are here that humans are mind dominant, and that there are layers to the mind, that there are kind of primary structures and layers within that, and that the body and mind are nested within consciousness ultimately, and that the body itself is referred to as the Annamaya Kosha, which, if I am correct, means made of food. So we consider in a way that the body is the crudest or most manifest layer of the mind. So we are very much engaged in this process. We have things called sanskaras, and there are some key concepts around working with your mind other than the processes that we learn in our lessons of sadhana, but there are also some key psychological concepts that we hold in Ananda Marga, such as you think, so you become. There's an idea of auto-suggestion, ideation on the great, pinnacled intellect. We have this idea of biopsychology with vrittis, which all our yoga practices are kind of connected with. And ultimately, it's about liberation. So I kind of see Ananda Marga as liberation psychology. And in comparison to that, what I've just called applied psychology, or you call mainstream psychology. I didn't really want to call it Western psychology because it's way broader than that, really. But applied psychology is essentially the study of the human mind and trying to solve problems in human behavior. And across the world, really, I don't know what you think of if you think of a psychologist, or whether you think of someone lying on a couch, asking questions, or anyway, the most popular and well-respected psychological model, I guess, or school of thought is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is looking at cognition, which is the mind, thinking, memory, attention, associations, perception, and behavior, how that manifests in behavior. And so a lot of what I'm drawing from tonight is also within the world of cognitive behavioral therapy, specifically called acceptance and commitment therapy, which is an awesome model, which I think blends very nicely with Ananda Marga approaches in a practical way, how to work with somebody sitting in front of you with a problem. But applied psychology is essentially about enabling behavior change. It's client-centered. There are kind of problems that develop in humans' psychological state or functioning. We call that fusion and experiential avoidance, which is two really interesting concepts we'll talk about later. But you can get to a point where you actually develop pathology, which means an illness, mental illness. So severe forms of depression, anxiety, bipolar, psychosis, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorders. There's a whole fat book full of disorders of one kind or another. And ultimately psychology is looking at the function. So function means how can the person function in their life, but also how does their cognition function. Another really interesting part, I think that's worth keeping in mind, is Baba's wave theory, which is basically that all movement, all life is kind of systolic in nature. It means it's pulsative, it contracts, and it expands and contracts, and that there are kind of, it follows a wave form. And so all movements, physical and psychological, are also waves. So our thoughts are like waves in consciousness. Now, a wave has a shape and a form, and also has a certain amount of momentum, which is quite an important point that we're going to explore a bit more. But that essentially human minds develop, evolve through a process of clash and cohesion and attraction of the great. So and you have an innate pull, spiritual pull, that is acting on all minds that exist. And at the same time, we're going through this process of churning and clashing and cohesing and developing. And this is going on all the time. And when we get to see people, when they're going to be sitting in front of you asking for your help, they're going to be in a low point of the wave of their life, okay? Each day is a wave. We wake up, we have energy, and we do stuff, and then we kind of get tired, and then we relax and we go to sleep, and then we repeat. Our breath, each breath is pulsative in that way, and life is like that too, because you're born and you grow, and then you expand, and then you reach your pinnacle, and then you kind of contract and die. But there are many waves in between, and when people seeing you, they'll be in a low point, seeking help, and this is an opportunity. The low points of the wave cycle are the opportunities for the next wave to be born. So it's actually a very positive opportunity, opportune time to be seeing people. Are we going all right? I'm not going too fast or too slow?
It's okay, Kamalesh. It's good stuff. So
all right, great.
Yeah, no problem.
So, sorry, I keep coughing, but can't help it. So momentum. Who knows what momentum means? Momentum is essentially movement, right? It's a idea from physics, but like the difference between a rolling boulder and a rolling basketball. Okay, they might be rolling at the same speed, but they have very different levels of momentum because of the weight of the boulder. Okay, now in human life, thoughts have momentum, and patterns of behavior also have momentum. So we develop patterns. Human beings develop patterns all the time. In fact, we find it stressful to be without patterns. If you've ever started a new job or moved to a new city, you'll realize that when you have to create a whole lot of new habits, it's a lot of work. It's tiring and it's a little bit stressful. And then after 6 months, you notice, I'm just zipping along. I know exactly how to go to the supermarket without even thinking about it. Whereas in the beginning, it's like, oh my God, where do I go? So human beings develop patterns and habits because we do. So mostly people are trying to be happy. Okay, people are trying to be happy. They're trying to live their life. They're trying to do good most of the time, and they're trying to do their best in the context in which they live. So we have these two elements going on. This is from a body of knowledge called occupational science. So I've kind of got 3 streams coming into this presentation tonight. We've got Ananda Marga philosophy, psychology. We've got cognitive behavioral therapy, and we've got occupational science. Occupational science means the study of how and what and why humans do. what humans do, human doings. So we have habituation and we have volition. So habituation means habits, roles, patterns. Some of this is imposed on us by the society and the family and the culture that we live in. You are the oldest, you are the youngest, you're the father, you work in this role. So some habits are imposed on us and some we just develop across our lives. So habits include the way we eat, the way we talk, the way we walk, the way we think. Essentially, that's the most important thing, because it's all about the mind. Remember, where the mind goes, the body follows. So all patterns exist first in the mind and get expressed as public behavior, external behavior. And there's a momentum to that habituation. It's not easy to change tracks once you have a good, strong habit formed. It's not easy, but it's not impossible either. We like it. It gives us predictability. Some of these habits serve us and some of them don't. You get up every morning and you drink water. That's a good habit. It's a habit, but it's a good one. It helps us. If you get up every morning and on the way to the shower, you're always banging your leg on a table, well, that's not a good habit. It's not serving us. It's not about good and bad. It's about what serves us. And patterns that get laid down really deep become sanskaras. Now, volition is different. Volition is new actions, novel, new approaches to things. Consciously, we're doing something by making a decision, a choice about something. And why? What sort of choices do we make? Well, we pursue things in our life. Human beings pursue things, well, not necessarily things, but values, essentially. Values and interests are the key drivers of human behavior in terms of what are we doing on this planet? What's important to me? What matters in my life? What do I think life is all about? That is what your values are. Values is a very sort of insipid, small word for something very deep and powerful in human life. So there's three elements of volition: values, interests. So what am I actually interested in? I might value all sorts of things, but I'm not actually interested in that. I'm not going to pursue it. And personal causation is your own belief about how capable you are. How capable are you to do what you want to do? Sometimes you have values and interests that you would love to pursue, but you don't think you can. This falls under personal causation. So this is the area that we can really work with people to help them develop the skills and the confidence, but also skills and techniques and mental approaches that can actually benefit them. And when we're doing that, any step in the right direction is good. Doesn't matter how big it is, really. Any step in the right direction is good. And one successful movement makes it easier to make another successful movement, etc. And then you get this kind of snowballing momentum. You build up momentum consciously in the direction that you want to direct your life. But sometimes it all goes wrong. People have problems and people are unhappy and they're miserable and they're suffering at times and they hate their lives and they're unhealthy and they're doing things, but I wish they weren't, but they are and they can't stop. Why does that happen? Goodness. I'm not used to talking so much. Well, it's when those two processes are happening, but they become very rigid. And rigid around the patterns that are unhelpful, people cling to them, even though they are causing a lot of problems. It's familiar at least, and they become rigid. When people are fearful, they become more rigid. So there's kind of this stress cycle that happens. And people are trying to, come back to these 2 points, which we'll talk a bit more about later, called fusion and behavioral. Experiential avoidance. Yeah, people are unhappy and they don't want to be unhappy, so they try to pretend that they aren't unhappy, or they try to mask that in various ways. And ultimately, identifying the mind with crude materialism contracts the mind. So if people don't know about broad thinking and spiritual ideation and that kind of stuff, then gradually over time their minds can crudify. But remember that wave, okay? There's always a wave going on. It's not just a straight line down or a straight line up. There's always opportunities to turn around and make a good new movement. So as health coaches, we are essentially aiming to facilitate change, behavioral change in the person that we're working with. Can see a few questions up there on the chat. Is it worth checking in with any of those?
Maybe if you wouldn't mind, first one, is there any role for the unconscious mind in applied psychology?
Absolutely, there is. Yep. The unconscious mind is essentially where values exist, because there's kind of values, and then on top of that are beliefs, and on top of that are kind of our conscious thoughts. And so values kind of exist in that in those deeper layers of the mind. So addressing them, you are actually working on quite a deep level with people. And there's some techniques that we'll talk about later that directly tap into that as well. Yeah.
When you talked about cognition in one of the earlier slides related to applied psychology, it sounded quite similar to our concept of manamaya kosha, thinking, remembering, concentrating, dreaming, and so on, analysis.
Yeah, it is, definitely. But there are also, I think, some elements of actually the aham tattva itself. And that aham tattva, I don't want to get too philosophical, but basically that aham tattva operates in all the koshas. You know what I mean? So some of that cognition, like the actual cognition itself, I think is the aham tattva, but some of those skills of it are being enacted in that manamaya kosha. Yeah. Anyway, that's a finer point we can discuss at length. Be very interesting conversation.
Aham tattva is the doer I, or more commonly known as the ego.
Yeah, exactly. The action, the active, actional part of the mind. And then it operates in the various koshas in different ways. Okay, does that sound all right? Okay, cool. All right, so.
Can I ask something?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, what about, because what I'm hearing is that, you know, very scientific based, but won't you say that the behavior pattern is a result of a belief, and a belief is a result of it's a result of a deep conditioning from their childhood, includes the emotion, with their memories connected to thought. Isn't that so? Are we gonna explore also the root causes of all of this? Because I feel that what we are dealing is already the result. The result. That's why people go to the psychologists, and you know, because that's already the result of what happened to them that was unresolved. So do we get to look at that as well? The participation of emotion connected to the memory, connected to the trauma, and how the psychology and meditation, you know, the naturopathy can harmonize or somehow, you know, support that. I'm curious if we're gonna tackle that somehow.
Yes, we are. we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm building the kind of the context for how we do that kind of work, because that is very deep and involved work. And this is just an introduction, really, because but essentially you have to start with the person where they're at. If they turn up to you and they're feeling sad or anxious, there's a reason for that. And you may or may not get to the depths of why, but you can still help people to become more functional in their life and to overcome these kinds of psychological problems. And you have to start with where they're at, which is when it takes a while to step down into the depths as such. Not as long as you might think, though. You can get there quite quickly with a bit of structure. But yeah, we're going to try and get some practical things about how to work with people when they're suffering, essentially, because pain and suffering are not the same thing. But the thing is, it's about behavior, and it's about mental behavior. So a depression is being stuck in a kind of a thought pattern and a behavioral pattern that is very contractive, and it is destroying, can be, if it's bad enough, it can be destroying someone's life. And so we have to work with those patterns to try to reshape them. Now, it's not as easy as that. It's not so easy to just change because of the momentum involved in the patterns. So it's like a great ship plowing across the ocean, and there's a lot of energy invested in moving in a particular direction. And to change direction actually takes quite a lot of energy also. Firstly, to stop going in this direction, and then to turn, and then to build up momentum moving in another new direction. All of that takes quite a bit of energy. And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it. Pardon?
So it's like when a patient come to us with a headache right now. So we just deal with the immediate suffering on that moment, which is the headache. So we give them like a pill or a medicine, right? Because our purpose is just take care of the pain right now and deal with the source of that later. Is that right?
You have to do both. You have to work towards the cause, and you have to be useful to people in the moment, because you can't say, eventually I'll help you, but you just have to bear with me. You have to help them and also guide them. So when you're a health coach, like, you have to be, we're alongside people on a bit of a journey, and there's a whole wave to our relationship with people. And so step by step, we have to do whatever we can to be helpful to the person. That's the main point. We have to try to be helpful to the person. It means improve their life. And every person has the same amount of potentiality as any other person, as us. So whatever we can do to help them start taking steps in the right direction, because if people can start taking steps in the right direction, they build up new momentum and they start to develop their own solutions, which is what we want. And we gradually fade out of their lives, that they continue on. And if you can change a person's mind, their mental patterns, if you can change something in their mind, well, you can help them for their whole life, even after they'll never see you again. But that benefit can continue for a very long time. It's more important than giving them a pill for their headache. But, you've got to get people to trust you and listen to you first. Yeah. All right. Thank you for your question. Now, I think there's a few myths out there, and one of the myths is of motivation. That, well, we've got to motivate people, or people are so unmotivated and they're not doing what I told them to do. People are motivated, well, there's two parts to this myth. One is that people aren't motivated to do what's healthy for them, and that's why they're unhealthy. No, people are pretty motivated to be healthy, or happy, I should say, and healthy. Most people want to be healthy, but they are caught in certain kind of patterns which aren't serving them. And the other part of the myth is that to be very successful, you have to be motivated all the time. And that is completely unrealistic. And any successful person will know that they didn't wake up every morning feeling fully energized and up with the play and on form and loving the journey.
Life is pulsative.
Life is pulsative, exactly. And you've got to connect to something deeper that pulls you forward when you don't feel like it. When you're feeling down in the dumps, you're feeling unhappy, you're over it. Successful people keep going through that feeling, and other people don't want to, or are unable to keep going in the face of big feelings that aren't pleasant. So we are trying to work with people to be able to make good choices, right? And not just rely on their patterns, because if their patterns were serving them, they wouldn't be seeing you. So they know they're motivated enough to come and see you. The people who are truly unmotivated, you'll never even see them. So you've got to catch the wave when someone turns up. They're trying to create a new wave, and you've got to catch it with them and help them paddle as best they can. Yeah. So coaching is about helping them structure things so they can be much more successful, making a plan to move towards the life that they want. Now, people, pretty much all human beings, embedded in them, okay, in the factory settings, people have an innate idea of their own greatness. It's already there inside them, and that image is reflected in their deeply held values, because values are essentially kind of an image or vision of the greatest version of myself. If I was fully living my values, wow, I would be awesome. Okay, and so there are different styles and flavors and interests that people have, but we don't, even people who are very shut down and depressed or very unhappy, they have these ideas. It's deep in the mind, okay? It's in the deeper layers of the mind where these things exist. So we have to help people access that, because values are the drivers for change, and they're the drivers of human behavior. So if we want to assist people, we have to tap into that. What does this person value most in the world? What matters to them? How do they see the world? And what does a meaningful life look like to them? And we've got to connect the health advice that we're giving to people with these values. Otherwise, why will they bother to do it? Why do people even want to be healthy? Some people don't want to be healthy. I was reading about this guy. He was a sort of a stuntman guy, a BMX stunt guy. Anyway, a famous guy. I can't remember his name because anyway, it's not one of my interests. But anyway, I was very interested in this guy because he was amazing. He did these really crazy things, and he had so many fractures in his body. And, you know, it's not very healthy. And I remember this quote, it stuck in my mind. He said, when he dies, he wants to slide into home plate. Okay, that's like a baseball metaphor, I guess. Slide into home plate, completely used up. He wants everything to be broken and bashed and completely done by the time he dies. He doesn't want to die with a very healthy body. Because for him, the value was pursuing the edge, you know, the edge of, you know, facing fear and climbing mountains and jumping out of spaceships, I don't know. So values are more important to people than anything. They'll risk their lives to pursue their values, okay? And again, values is a kind of a dumb word, but I wish there was a better word, but what it represents. Now in Ananda Marga, we have this thing called cardinal human values, Dhamma Niyama. Now these are, I think if we look at them deeply, then cardinal human values underpin all other values. They're at an even deeper, potentially at an even deeper layer of mind, and other values kind of develop on top of that. And so I think if we have a good understanding of these principles, these cardinal values, then we can be pretty sure that every person we meet, if we put them in the right way, if we express it in the right way that resonates with them, they will resonate with all of these points. Because it's just part of humans. I just wrote it like that. We want to be truthful, not to hurt others. We don't want to deprive others of their due, nor to be too greedy and to seek to see reality for what it truly is, as divine. We want to be pure and content and to study the philosophy of life, but we will undergo suffering to help others as we seek to place ourselves within the shelter of the One. That's just a kind of a poetic way of putting it, but those all the points of Dhamma Niyama are in there. And so you've got to find the words that suit the person, but just bearing in mind, if you're trying to explore values with people, oh well, maybe I can start with some of these points if I'm feeling lost.
We're 45 minutes into our presentation.
Okay.
All of 90 minutes, including questions. So
okay, better speed up.
Yeah.
All right. So how to be an agent of change. I'm not going to go through all of these points, but I want you to think of this concept of conscious use of self. Okay. This is the more practical part, but now we're moving into the practical action, how to use some of these concepts. So conscious use of self is essentially an idea that I am the tool, okay? I am the presence that's going to make a difference in this person's situation. Just through how I am interacting with them, the way I talk to them, the way I am in their presence, the way I'm guiding them. In a sense, you're being like a little mini guru for this person, a guru with a small g, okay? And the way that you interact with this person is absolutely the most important part of the whole thing. And so it's more important how you make somebody feel than what you tell them, any amount of information that you might give them, tools, skills, strategies. First of all, they have to believe that you're worth listening to and that you actually have their best interests at heart, that you're knowledgeable, that you're skillful, that you're professional and you're trustworthy, and you actually authentically care about their well-being. Okay, and you've got to convey all that without saying it. You can't say, I care about your well-being and I'm going to do. Well, you have to just convey it by the way that you interact with them. And we're going to talk about how to do that. But these are some of the things that it's worth keeping in mind, and you can review some of them at a later point. But you've got to be flexible in your approach, match it to the person who's in front of you. You don't get it right every time. You can't connect with every single person that you ever see, but you can connect with almost everybody if you're flexible in your approach. Be relaxed and friendly, be yourself. There's a great quote, be yourself, everybody else is taken. So you have to be yourself, but a professional, the best version of yourself, okay? Do what you say you're going to do. You're friendly, but you're not friends, okay? You're there for them. It's a one-way street. It's a one-way street. They don't have to care about you and your problems. You have to care about them and their problems. You're there to help them. They're not there to help you. You've got to be open and accepting and trustworthy. Hold on to that belief that you want to help them. Be compassionate. Don't be judgmental. You're helping them by the way you're talking and seeing things in a different way. It's really important to just to explain to the person your role, how you're going to work with them, what they can expect. You've got to be explicit about things. Okay, I'm not going to share any of your private information with anybody else. These kinds of things are important to people so that they can open up to you quickly. In life, we just make friends with people, and over time we learn to trust them. You've got to establish trust in the very first meeting, and you can do that by the way that you interact with them, and you just express it in a clear way. Reflect on these points if you get a chance. A big point here in this middle bit, manage your own feelings and reactions, because we're both human beings when we're working with other people, and you're going to feel stuff. Some people will annoy you. Some people will remind you of your own mother or somebody who was mean to you at school or something. You're going to have these feelings are going to come up while you're working with people, and it's your responsibility to manage them appropriately so that you give everybody a good service. Talk to the people that you work alongside to help you with that sort of stuff. Okay. So a great technique for getting to know what people's values are. Okay, so we need to know people's values. Why? So that we can connect them to what we're, to connect them to the health practices that we're trying to introduce. So you need to ask people questions about their life. Okay, don't just ask them about their food habits or their water drinking habits or how much exercise they do. You need to ask them about their life, what matters to them. So it's quite good to think of 4 key areas: work, play, love, and then self-care. That means what we just said before. How much water do you drink? Do you do exercise? How are you sleeping? That kind of stuff. But work, play, and love, generally people are pursuing their values in some regard. So who do they love? What's their family, their friends, the people that matter to them? Play means what do they do? What do they enjoy doing? What's fun to them? It's a very powerful question to ask someone, what's fun? What do you do that's fun? Often people say, oh no, I haven't done anything fun for years. And people enjoy different things. Connecting to that's important. And work, sometimes people just do jobs because they have to. But many times people choose the job they do because there's something about it that they like or they're good at. So talk about these things with people, ask them questions. Okay, so communication, obviously, mostly we are using the conscious use of self is through our mouth. We're talking, not just our mouth, we're communicating. I'm communicating with my hands quite a bit. So there's heaps and heaps of courses out there about good, clear communication skills. There's some universal stuff, but there's also very cultural and social specific stuff as well. So communication, good communication looks a little different in different contexts. Many things are universal, but for example, how friendly you are, that's culturally specific. Some people are very formal. They want you to be serious when you're asking them questions because it's very, very important stuff that they are telling you, and they don't want. And other people, they want you to be joking and laughing together. So you just get better at reading that. If you tell a joke and they don't laugh, okay, drop the jokes. Don't tell any more jokes. Okay. If they tell a joke, make sure you laugh at it, unless it's very inappropriate. But connect with people, with your face, with your body, with your gestures. The way you are, you need to demonstrate that you're interested in what they're saying. Okay, and you can do that by some very simple techniques of just reflecting back what they're saying, summarizing what they've said, clarifying, just let me get this straight. You know, are you saying that, does that sound about right? Am I in the right ballpark here with what you're telling me? Check in with them, make sure you're getting the right, you know, not only that you are understanding them correctly, but you are showing them that you are understanding them correctly. People feel very happy if someone understands them and is really, really listening and interested in what they have to say in their life. People like that. Talk about values. What's important to you? What's a meaningful, you know, yeah, what matters to you? Okay, that's just a quick skip over, but each of these topics could be an entire workshop on their own. So I'm assuming that all of you have significant skills already, and you know how to talk to people nicely. So these are just some very key points that I've found extremely valuable over the many years in working with people in very complicated and difficult circumstances. They all are super helpful. All right, so these are some key coaching skills. Each one has got a lot to it, but we're not going to be able to obviously go in detail, but you need to be able to help people set goals. What kind of goals? Well, goals that are connected to their values. Goals that are connected to their values. So you need to be providing feedback to the person, and you need to be seeking feedback as well. Is this working for you? You know, I'm aware I'm asking you a lot of very sensitive questions here. Do you feel okay about that? Just checking in with people like in the moment. It's very helpful to use what they call scaling questions. So this is like out of 10, you know, how big of a problem is that for you? Like, as we sit here right now and you're explaining that to me, how big of a problem does it feel like? Out of 10, 10 being the worst problem you've ever faced in your life, 1 being, it's not a problem at all. How big of a problem out of 10 is it? Okay, this helps people clarify. We're having conversations with people that help them clarify and order and sort their own thinking about something. But asking scaling questions also gives us some objective information that we can use next time. Hey, did you realize that last time we talked, you gave that problem a 9 out of 10. Now you're only saying 7 out of 10. That's interesting. Well, what do you think's changed? Why do you think it's gone down from 9 to 7? So you can guide people through simple questions like that to really analyze their situation. And also, when you make a plan for someone to introduce more water drinking or whatever it is you might be doing, daily meditation, whatever the plan is, whatever the plan is, we have to make plans with people. It's very, very important. When you've made the plan, ask the person how confident they are that they can carry it out. How confident are you that you can, you know, here's the plan that we've made today. How confident do you feel that you can give that a go? Like out of 10, you know, you press them. Like out of 10, how confident? And it feels a little weird. It feels a little weird, to be honest, at first, but it's worth it. It's worth it to get very clear, because if the person's saying, yeah, okay, I'll do that, and then you say, okay, how confident are you that you can do that? Like out of 10, how confident? And somebody said, oh, I don't know, 4, then you know it's no good. It's a complete waste of time letting them walk away with that plan, and you need to make it easier. You need to make it easier. Okay, what can we do to this plan to get you up? Because I'm not letting you out of here with anything less than a 7 out of 10 confidence. Yeah, they need to be, even 7 is a bit low, to be honest. We want people to be saying, yes, 10 out of 10, I'm doing this. When I hear people say, yep, I'm definitely going to do that, I feel great. I don't even need to see them again because they're going to start building momentum by following a course of action that I've just helped them agree to. And sometimes they never come back because they're already helping themselves. So it's really important to pin them down how confident they are. Keep records, because you need to reflect back you need to do that for people. You need to keep records, keep notes. Actually, last time we were talking about this, you mentioned, how are you going with that? That shows that you really listened, you're being professional, you're helping provide the scaffolding around their change. So keep notes about what you discussed, okay? And you want people to focus on what they will be doing differently. People come along and they say, oh, I just want to feel better. I just want to feel good. Don't try to set goals around, oh, you're going to feel better. Because some days you don't feel good, no matter what. Even if you're doing healthy stuff, I don't know, in the course of your month-long training at the wellness center, some days you don't feel great, and some days you feel awesome. So feelings come and go. Try to focus on what they can do. What's the behavior? Describe it. Get them to be doing. What are they going to be starting, restarting, doing more of, doing less of? And if they're finding it hard, say, use that fly on the wall thing. Okay, if I was a fly on the wall, what would I see you doing? What would I actually see you doing? That helps you get into behavioral kind of goals. Okay, crikey. Already had an hour. So naturopathic considerations. You need to think about the impact of food. That's our body's made of food. And also on the psychological level, diet is very, very personal. People eat their emotions. If you start meddling with that, even for their own good, they're going to start feeling unhappy, maybe, because they're losing some coping strategies. If they drink coffee and eat chocolate every afternoon on the way home, and then you say, oh, you shouldn't do that, you should drink water instead. Well, you better give them some skills to handle feeling unhappy at the same time, because they're not going to feel great at first, because people get comfortable even in their discomfort. And when they're detoxing, out with the old. So there's kind of like, there's a psychological aspect to all of those toxins coming out. Many of you probably know more about that than I do. But sometimes even getting healthier feels bad. And so you've got to help people work with their feelings and emotions. Now, here's a list of the R's of lasting change. I think you should study this. This comes from a guy called Russ Harris, which is, he's the acceptance and commitment therapy kind of guru guy. Reminders, records, rewards, routines, relationships, reflection, and restructuring. There you go. I'm not going to say anything more about it. They're kind of self-explanatory, and we're running out of time. But this is a good way of thinking. If you're doing something in each of these areas, then you're probably doing a good job as a health coach. Help them change things in their environment, help them reflect on what's going on, be somebody who can walk alongside them in their journey of change, help them build new routines. Rewards, people need incentivization, okay? They can't just be giving stuff up. They need to be getting stuff back. Keep records, help them remember what they're doing, what the plan is. Okay, so now we're getting into a few key psychological skills, okay? This is coming back to what do we do? How do we work with this? All right, so in Ananda Marga, we have a concept of sublimation. And this is my take on it. So psychological problems, everybody's got them. Well, it's only a problem when it's working against you. What I mean is everybody has thought patterns, repetitive thought patterns. When you get very stressed, you may have the experience that you talk to yourself, or you have certain thoughts in your mind like, oh, I'm so useless, or God, I always make that same mistake. God, I'm an idiot. Or I'm no good. I can't do this. Nobody likes me. Phrases like this, thoughts, are quite repetitive. We all have different thoughts about ourselves and about the world. Some of them are good, uplifting thoughts, and some of them are not. And the ones that are not come out when we don't feel good. When we don't feel good, often we think something's wrong with us, and there's kind of negative cognitions that support us going down. They don't support us going down, they drag us down. Okay. So sublimation, I don't know, other people will explain it in a very different way, but basically it's about transcending some of that and moving to higher levels of awareness, essentially, or spiritualizing, your experience. But I think that sublimation is a little bit more step by step, and this comes to the question of, can sadhana on its own solve all your psychological problems? And I think the answer is yes and no. Ultimately, yes, but also no, because unless ultimately we have to deal with what it is, what's going on in our mind. We can't just jump to the spiritual level all the time. We have to progressively work our way up, because even if you fall into a high spiritual trance, if you immerse yourself into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, when you come out, you still have sanskaras, you still have problems, you still have quirks of your mind. You're not a completely free universal human being. You still have cultural sort of conditioning, etc. Of course, it's extremely helpful. And if you can go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you should do it every day, twice a day. But there's another process that also needs to go on, because we have to experience certain things, and we do experience certain things, and part of that is feelings and thoughts. So the process of sublimation is essentially, the first step is to witness the thoughts or the feelings that are taking place within you. Because as soon as you witness, you focus on the witness. Every element of our being has a witnessing counterpart, okay? And ultimately, the Supreme Mind is the ultimate witness, but every layer is the witness of the preceding layer. Every layer is the witness of the preceding layer. So all you have to do, it sounds simple, but it can be challenging, is you start to witness, you observe the thoughts and feelings, you notice them, and that immediately kicks you up a level, okay? That immediately kicks you into a higher or a deeper kosha. And so you're connecting with yourself, which is beyond the thought and the feeling, and you're also connecting into the present moment. Both of those things allow you to go up a level. And then you have to couple that on its own is not good enough, because you can be completely aware of what's going on, but be full of judgment about it. Why am I angry? Why am I so worried? And you start worrying about being worried, and it makes it worse. So awareness on its own is not enough, but awareness is the first important step. You have to couple it with an attitude of kind of accepting the reality of what's going on inside your own mind and feelings. Not necessarily, and I make this clear to the people that I work with, I'm not saying accepting the circumstances that are going on, right? Someone's bullying you and you're feeling sad, and you're not accepting the bullying. You have to accept the feeling that you have to accept the fact that you're feeling sad. If we struggle with our feelings, they get worse. It's kind of like being in quicksand. If you've ever seen like old cowboy movies, if they're caught in quicksand, the more they struggle, the quicker they go down. And feelings, especially feelings, is the same. If we struggle against them, well, they get stronger and more distorted. And this leads to mental illness in many cases, pathological thoughts, feeling patterns. So awareness plus acceptance means, because the feelings that we're having is part of the present moment. Our feelings are part of the present moment. And feelings only happen in the present moment. Feelings don't happen in the past or the future. They're only happening now, and they follow a wave. They come and go. While they're happening, they're real. I'm feeling sad. Okay, I kind of wish I wasn't feeling sad, but I'm feeling sad right now. So that's awareness plus a kind of a general accepting attitude. Okay, acceptance and surrender, I think, are very much the same, similar. An idea that and so awareness plus acceptance is the two crucial elements of sublimation. And then you have to carry on doing the stuff that matters, that's actually in line with your chosen direction and values. Because most of the time people stop doing what's important to them when they feel bad. They give up. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing that. I'm not going to do it. Oh, I was going to go to the gym, but I felt too anxious, so I stayed at home instead. No, that's part of a downward spiral where you withdraw, you drop out, you avoid. Whereas this is, okay, I'm feeling really, really anxious right now. Okay, I'm feeling anxious, but I decided I was going to the gym, so I'm still doing it. And today I'm going to the gym while I'm feeling anxious. Okay, that's the general approach. Super, super helpful. This is gold, and you can help everybody if you can understand these three elements. You can help every person who has emotional problems. All right. This is another tool. Okay, this is called the choice point. And normally I would do this on a piece of paper with somebody in the room when they're stuck. They don't know what to do. They spent some time telling me about all their problems. You know, I get anxious every day and I can't go to school because I'm so anxious and I'm useless. And whenever I think of going to school, I just feel so anxious. It's overwhelming, and I've decided not to go to school anymore because I don't want to feel anxious. And that's my solution. Okay, so this choice point is a key concept. Actually, I've got a little video here. Can I play that? It's about 4 or 5 minutes long, 3 or 4 minutes. This is from the guy again, Russ Harris. So this is part of he's got a YouTube thing called the Happiness Trap. And so you can go and watch lots of his videos, and he's a really cool guy. Wow, he's all right. But he's got some really, really useful stuff. Can I play that?
Okay, but not too long.
Okay. Let's hope it works.
Hit screen share again.
There might be a little ad that pops up. We'll just try to skip it as soon as it comes on.
Yeah,
Just avoid looking at this.
This is the ad.
Pretend it's not happening.
This is the ad, yeah.
I accept the ad.
We need some volume here.
No sound.
Kamalesh, we don't hear anything.
Can't hear anything, Kamalesh.
Yeah, let's move on. We can't hear it, Kamalesh. Kamalesh, you're muted.
Can't hear it.
Oh, now you're not
Is that
muted.
better?
Can't hear
Yeah.
anything.
All right, we'll
Finally.
give up on that. Let's give up on that. Hopefully I can just get back to where I was.
Hit screen share again. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. All right. Anyway, look it up, The Happiness Trap. It's quite good. He's essentially explaining that this is a great way to talk with our people, okay? That we boil it down to this moment. Today, right now, we're faced with so many problems. Yes, I understand you're very unhappy. You're in pain. They may have physical pain. They have heart conditions or chronic pain syndromes, or they're depressed or they're anxious. It doesn't really matter. People are dealing with all kinds of things, and that's part of life. And even so, irregardless of that, we come to a point where we get to make a choice about what we do right now in this moment or today. And we can essentially choose to move towards the life that we want to have, the person that we want to be. There are practical steps that we can take in any moment, in any situation that is more towards that. And what many people do is they take steps away from something. Their actions are all about getting away from their pain, getting away from feeling unhappy, getting away from their feelings. So they do all kinds of things, habits. Many of the habits are about getting away from feeling bad. And we have to encourage people and believe that people have the capacity to make a new choice at any moment, to take steps towards something rather than away from something. And that towards something is where we come in as coaches. We are giving them structure and drawing out their values to put there into actual systematic steps about what they can do that is about moving them towards the person and life that they want to have.
10 minutes to go, Kamalesh. Last 5 minutes we want to take to just give some kind of a roundup to everything and our team.
Skip that. We'll skip that then.
Excellent stuff. The slideshow, if it's shared later, that will benefit us also.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll skip those other 2 points. But essentially, you've got to know when you're out of your depth as well. If people are risky to themselves or others, I'm just saying this as a last point, but it's important to know sometimes you'll get people who are very, very desperate. They've come to you as their last hope. You need to ask, you need to be aware of that. And I would suggest if anybody has some kind of severe mental illness, means severe depression or a history of such things, then you should probably get a bit of extra help. Take a team approach. Try not to do things on your own. Yeah. And ultimately, we just need to keep positive about people. Okay, they're rainbows, not roadblocks. Even if they're not doing what you think they should be doing, you need to just move them in the right directions, towards small steps in the right direction, get people where they want to go. We need to walk alongside them and apply our skills, coaching them for change, okay? Every person is a potential Buddha. And I think it's a nice way to think that, in a way, you are acting on behalf of the universe when you're helping people as a health coach. You are being, the universe in your form is helping that other person, literally. Never forget it. Okay. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Powerful. Excellent.
Stop the screen share, please.
How do I, oh, there we go.
Can I give a really quick comment? And that is that I was really in and out of the whole program because I was driving from Purulia to Ananda Nagar and just got here now. But I think I heard Well, if I start my video, you're going to see what I look like. Okay, I'll just show me myself just for a moment because somebody's asking me to do that. Yeah. So anyway, that's enough of seeing me, maybe. I don't. But uh, yeah. So, but I was able to hear enough of it, probably 80% or something, that this is really good material, Kamalesh. And I mean, it opens the door for discussing these things in and really practicalizing them. And I think, and I'd like to talk with you. Some of us maybe could talk with you and really make this into, you know, a program with some levels that, you know, we can do with it. Anyway, we love it. And now, Dr. Sheila Bhattacharya, with that in mind, you know, and I really enjoyed this module, and you. By the way, Kamalesh, he is a graduate of our very first training. Well, the first training that we had after opening the Wellness Center. There was one before we opened. I don't remember what year that was, Kamalesh, maybe around 2011 or something. And yeah, now Dr. Sheila Bhattacharya is going to talk with us just a little bit about something that is really important, the future of our movement and our activity, and how some of you, maybe all of you, could help out. Let's see. Dada, thank you.
Namaskar. Thank you, Dadaji. And once again, thanks to Kamalesh for super inspiring presentation. This is the last of our 6 modules. So we wanted to just encourage those of you that are here and that you know, would like to see our community grow and our movement spread to more and more people. And for that, we'd like to reiterate and welcome any of you who would like to join in our teams. Now, already we have had volunteers from Kamalesh, Jivanesh, Ganesh, Sarita, and Ramesh for joining the teams. So we are very grateful, and we'll try to be more specific, and you also can be more specific on what you'd like to do with us in our teams. I'm going to draw up here some of the possible activities that can be done in our teams so that yeah. Can you see my screen here?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have here different teams that for which we need help. Our YouTube channel, video and production, we call it. Basically, it's to make videos and popularize our YouTube channel. We need, specifically in that team, volunteers to help make the videos, edit the videos, manage the YouTube channel. For example, editing the video description of that particular video and making the video thumbnails. This is what we could think of. There may be other important aspects to this work. We have another team called WASAM. It's short for website and social media. This is also huge, and it involves being a manager of our website, and it looks like Ganesh is coming forward with that. At least he's going to help us to erect the website. We'll need someone to help us to manage it after that. Content provider in terms of materials for the website and the social media. Our Facebook page is very active. So we want to keep that regular, regular feeds there, which will increase our SEO optimization, make us more known in the public. We have an Instagram page, but it's not at all active. So we'll need someone to help us with that as well. And so it's all about providing information and useful, meaningful content through different articles that we can also add in our blog and the website once it's up. We're making a new website actually. Yeah. And then finally, when it comes to, overall, it's the PAM, promotion and marketing, and that's everything to do with making us known by some of the things we've just talked about, and other ways that are, there's TikTok, there's so many possibilities that we can look at. And if any of you are skilled in any of these things, then we'll be very happy to have you join us. So we have also the teams presently. This is from quite some time ago, but this was our last list of teams. And in promotion and marketing, we had a leader here. All the teams had leaders. And then we had supervisors here, which were consisting mostly of the core group of our NYT movement. Dada as the leader, Dada Dharmavinanji, and we who are here are the assistants to Dada in the movement. So we're still quite small. But when looking at the quality of the material presented tonight or today, you can see that there's a huge scope for getting more people to be benefited by what we have to offer. So I will stop here and again invite you to help us in whatever way you feel you can. And doesn't have to be now, but in our chat, intermediate course WhatsApp chat, you can put some specific things that you'd like to do if you've not already volunteered. Thanks a million.
If I can add to that, that was very well put, Dada Sheila Bhattacharya. I'm looking at the names of those of you who are present here now, and all right, I'm being asked to put on my video. I'm not really in presentable uniform or anything. Is my voice clear, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Very okay.
I'm in Ananda, and my computer broke down this morning. I actually last night or this morning I had to rush to get it repaired, and I walked in here and it is repaired. I see some of you who are participating here who I think you would like to do something to help. And maybe when you look at the list of our needs at present, you're unclear whether you could do that or not. Maybe you don't have that skill. But in the moment, even anybody who wants to help out at all, and then we will start to think more deeply. We'll start to think more deeply how each person's talent can be utilized. Everybody has talent. Whether you have those specific skills or not is who knows. But for example, participating in the blog, in the discussion, some input in the Facebook to keep it alive. We all have capacities to help in these different ways, and we should we can discuss it all and see. We want to have the greatest impact possible on both the world of Ananda Marga and the world in general. Our naturopathy, what we are doing, our approach, which we have called yoga naturopathy, and more specifically Ananda Marga yoga naturopathy, it is tremendously potential to fill a gap which exists in the world of naturopathy movements and naturopathy schools and programs which are out there. I mean, I have been exposed to so many of them, and they all have good things, but they don't have quite what we've got. So, but people don't know about us. And if you are interested to help in coaching, so of course you need to take our basic course, like I'm running right now. with the help of Niranjan. He's our assistant trainer here. And we have 8 trainees because we could not, we didn't get much time to publicize it. And actually there were more who wanted to come and lost out on the visas and so on. But there are, this is really a great program. And we're not utilizing it up to our capacity. So we would rather not push anyone in particular, but if I look, just for example, I'm looking at the list of those who are here, and then there are going to be others who watch this recorded video afterward, and I see Dada Krishna in the list, I'm saying, and I see Diraj, and I see Gomati, and I see Grace, and I see Janak.
Okay, Dada, it's fine. Yeah, line up.
Because I just want to encourage that, and Mahavir, that as I look at these names, I know that you do have capacity. So if you have the slightest bit of time and you'd like to try to help, please let us know in our WhatsApp chat or anywhere, or directly to us. That Sheila better not?
Yeah, sorry, Da. I think it's great, perfect ending. Thanks to you, Dadaji, for your inspiration and keeping us all on track with your great example. So, and Kamalesh, once again, a million thanks. Can we get a final kirtan from Keshava, and then we'll close our session. And any questions you have about this particular presentation, please share it in the WhatsApp chat. We'll get it to Kamalesh. I think he's already there, so we'll answer it there for sure.